Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So you're probably noticing I'm posting a lot more frequently than usual. I have a ton of things that I bought, especially from Hot Topic, and I definitely wanted to get those out to you guys because I had some requests for them, and I know we're getting close to the holidays and people have had their eye on things. So I've got a couple things from Hot Topic. This is one of them. This is their Sanguis Draconis book palette. I thought this was super cute when I saw this online, and I just hadn't had a chance to film with it yet. If you were one of the ones who was asking about the new Blackheart Beauty Elements palettes, I do have those on the way to me. They should be here soon, and I will probably film with those as soon as they get here, but I might split them up into 4 videos. It just depends on how long it takes and if I decide to do 1 look or 2 look. But this video is gonna be just about this palette right here. So it is another book palette from Hot Topic. They've done 2 other ones so far. So previously they had their Beauty and the Beast palette last year, and then earlier this year they had the Beetlejuice Handbook for the Recently Deceased palette, and then this one is just a very medieval dragon themed palette. So I don't know if it's coming off well on camera. When I look directly at it, it just looks more like a tan neutral color, and then the light hits and it has that shift, but I can see it in the viewfinder. It's like really shifting for you guys, but it just says Sanguis Draconis on there. It has a nice little dragon on here, and this is an eyeshadow and highlighter palette because there's a liquid highlighter inside. So this is what the palette looks like. There, I'll tilt it, hopefully that helps. This is what the shadows look like, and then you have a liquid highlighter right here. You do have a mirror on this side, and it has a little quote on it. It says, "Imagination will take you anywhere." Let me give you guys a close-up of this. Hopefully I can get the lights to work in my favor. It's got like a little dragon scale pattern in the background. So these are what the shadows look like up close. Hopefully that's coming off true to color. Then you can see the little dragon scale pattern in the background, and of course you've got the same iridescent kind of material. This is, you know, a cardboard box. It is a lot heavier. Honestly, I'm pretty sure this is the reason. When you take out the highlighter, which is in a glass bottle, this is still a very hefty palette. Let's see if you can see the layers of thick cardboard right there in order to make the structure that held the bottle. So I'm pretty sure their previous palettes were just hollow because none of them felt this heavy. And you have all the ingredients on the back. This does retail for $16.90 regularly, and it's on sale for $13 right now. So let me show you guys swatches, and then I think I'm gonna go ahead and do 2 looks with this because I really kind of want to do a more neutral sided one and then one with a lot of the blues and greens. So I think 2 looks would be the way to go. All right, so these are all the swatches. I swatched the liquid highlighter right here, and then I kind of spread it out with the brush, so hopefully you guys can see kind of the shimmer. It looks really pretty, so we'll see how it is like actually on the cheek as a highlighter. So I went down 1 row and then the other. So this is Majestic Beauty, Thunder, Golden Egg, Wings of Fire, Moonlighter, Sanctum, Guardian, Wisdom, Elder's Blood, and Dragonheart. So you have a nice mix of mattes and metallics. The metallics, just like many of the Hot Topic palettes, some of them are really awesome. Let's see. This red one and this orange one were amazing one swipe, but these 2 right here kind of needed a little bit of a back and forth. The mattes, again, same thing. This brown one is really beautiful and actually really surprised me. I actually like the tone of it a lot, and it was really nice. Kind of one swipe, I just rubbed back and forth, I think twice. And I really like this color. It did need a little help though. I think what I'm gonna do is leave my primer tacky, just so that this and this, because probably the colors I'm gonna use, that way they have something to grab onto and stay a bit more true to color. So let's go ahead and get into it. For this first look, I'm starting out with the shade Guardian. I did leave my primer tacky, and I'm using a very small detailed brush to kind of pack that color into the crease area. And then once I have it laid down, I'm starting to blend a little bit more and kind of blend it upward just a little bit. I want to keep it really close in on the inner portion of the eye. Then into Thunder, I'm basically doing the exact same method here, just kind of packing that shade on and then kind of blending it upward once I have a good bit of color down. You do have to layer this one a little bit more. And then I'm using a little bit more of a fluffier brush, but still a very detailed one, to make a little bit of a wing kind of V shape on that outer portion. I'm just sketching it right now. Then to fill it in, I'm using the shade Dragonheart, and I'm using this on a fluffy brush. And again, I'm just kind of patting it down first, and then I'm blending it out into that V shape because I did want it to be a little bit smoky on that outer portion, and I want it to be kind of an angle coming in on the lid. And then I'm taking Thunder with that same brush and packing it over the top so that it still has kind of a nice like steel blue green type of tone to it. Then into the shade Moonlighter, I'm using my finger just to spread this all over that blank space of the lid. This shade actually stands out really nicely on its own. I did go back in with a wet brush just so that I could really make it intense, but also so that I could get right up against that crease area. And you don't even need to use concealer to make a cut crease because this shade stands out really nicely on its own. Then I'm going back into Thunder, and on the lower lash line, I'm just using a pencil brush just to kind of smoke this out on the lower lash line, but I'm leaving it more on the outer half. Then I'm going underneath it with the shade Guardian, again, just smoking it back and forth, making it match the top. And then I'm using Moonlighter on a wet detailed brush just to fill in that inner portion of the lower lash line, and also stamping it on the inner corner as a highlight. For liner, I'm using the NYX Liquid Black Liner just to make a nice wing that kind of matches the shadow wing that I've already made. And then I'm going to work on the point on the inner portion of the eye. So I'm starting out with a more detailed liner. This is the Kat Von D Tattoo Liner. However, I ran out of product, so I switched back over to NYX. I'm just kind of bringing it down on the inner portion and then connecting it back into the lower lash line. Just use an angle that works well with your eye shape. Then using my Lottie London Black Liner, I am just filling in the waterline, and then I'm also using this just to make sure that that inner point is nice and black. And then I'm just adding mascara. This is the Milk Kush mascara, putting it on top and bottom lashes, and then finishing off with my Space Queen lashes from Alien Cosmetics. For lips, I'm using the Fenty Gloss Bomb in the shade Diamond Milk. I absolutely love this gloss paired with a really dark smoky eye. It's just beautiful. And then of course now I'm using the highlighter that came with the palette. I'm starting by just dotting it onto my cheeks, and then I'm using my fingers to kind of dab it in. I'm kind of alternating back and forth between my two fingers just to make sure that it kind of is spread out nice and evenly. And it actually went on really easily and did not disturb my makeup. I loved it. And this is the finished first look. Now on to look 2. For this look, I'm starting out with the shade Wisdom, and I'm using this to just pack over the top of my primer just so everything is nice and set. Then into the shade Elder's Blood with a fluffy brush. I'm just working this through the crease and then working it on that outer portion of the eye just to kind of smoke it out a little bit, and then just kind of working that color up and really blending it kind of upward a little bit so that it has a nice gradient effect. Then into Wings of Fire, I'm starting out with a dry brush just to place it all over the lid. So this shade is really pretty on its own, but you do have to kind of layer it up if you're going to use the brush dry. But you can see it's still a really pretty color on its own. Now to amp it up, I am just using my finger to be able to spread that color on, and you can see how much more vibrant it is now. Going into Majestic Beauty, I'm using my finger just to place this on the outer portion of the lid, kind of in a diagonal pattern. Then I'm just going back into those same two shades with a brush just to make sure that they kind of blend together nicely in the center. So just working back and forth until I like the way it looks. Now I'm using Majestic Beauty on a very dense blending brush just to kind of blend it into that outer portion and very lightly blend over the crease, only about halfway. And then back into Elder's Blood with a more detailed blending brush just to blend over the top portion of everything and make sure it's nicely blended together. Now into Majestic Beauty, I'm using this on a liner brush that I sprayed with setting spray, and I'm only lining the outer half. And then for the inner half, I'm using Wings of Fire and kind of overlapping them in the center. Then I'm going into Elder's Blood with a pencil brush, and I'm just running this all underneath those shades, really making sure that it's blended together nicely and that it connects with that outer portion and just kind of has a nice little smoky effect. And last but not least, I'm using Golden Egg. I'm just tapping this onto the inner corner as a highlight. This is a dry brush, so it's kind of more of a little sparkle. For the waterline, I'm using an orange liner. This is Puppy from ColourPop. And then I'm going to do my liner and mascara off camera. I'm just doing a basic wing and just adding 2 coats of some mascara. For lips, we're going to go a little bit darker on this look, so I'm first lining my lips with Merlot from Jordana, and then I'm going over the top of it with Deadly Nightshade, which is from the Sally Nightmare Before Christmas lip collection from Hot Topic. And this is the finished second look. Alright guys, so that's both looks for you. Which one is your favorite? Let me know in the comments below. I definitely wanted to do something a little bit more on the simple side since the first look turned out a bit more dramatic than I actually had intended for. You know, it kind of started getting really dark and smoky, and then I figured, what the hell, let's just go all out with that liner, and I love the way it turned out, but I definitely wanted to bring it back in for the second look and do something a bit more on the like neutral everyday side, and I couldn't help but pair it with a really fun dark lip because I do still really love that Sally lip collection from Hot Topic, so I like to use those whenever I can. So let's recap the shadows real quick. I'm gonna try to hold this up and hopefully it won't throw the lighting off too bad while I talk about them. So from the first look, these two shades right here are actually really beautiful, and I definitely say if you're going to use them and want them to be true to color, do what I did by leaving your base tacky and kind of stamping the color on and then blending it out. That works really great for any kind of dark or really vibrant shadow that you want to really show true to color, but especially when it's a cheaper shadow that you need to work with. It'll definitely help, I promise. I'm actually really impressed with this silver shade. It definitely worked better once I used a wet brush. And then I pretty much still don't understand the point of Dragon Heart and Sanctum. They both just come out very gray tone. They don't really have a different tone to them once you use them with a brush, so you really could have done without that. This orange shade right here, Wings of Fire, is definitely one of my favorites in the palette. This one and Majestic Beauty, both of them were really great, and they actually worked really nicely when I used just a dry flat brush to put the shadow on the lid. It was actually really pretty, and you could have been fine just like that, but I wanted to go ahead and use my finger with the shadow also, just so you guys can see how much more intense it does show up when you're able to kind of just rub it across with your finger. I would recommend that over wetting the brush because sometimes these can turn a little clumpy when you do that on the lid. Let's see what else is there. Oh, Elder's Blood. I really love this matte. That's probably the best matte in the palette. I mean, it's just typical brown, but I like it, and I think it had a beautiful tone, and it goes really nicely with the kind of orange and golden and reddish burgundy tones. So as far as this highlighter goes, I'm actually pretty happy with it. Like I said, I've never tried a liquid highlighter from Hot Topic. I do really love the shade a lot. I think it gives a really gorgeous sheen and shimmer. I don't feel like it looks obvious when I'm looking straight on, so I like that a lot. As far as this palette goes, it's definitely kind of average with the palettes. I mean, it's not bad, but it's not amazing. I do think this little highlighter makes it worth it, especially for $13 on sale. This thing is a huge bottle, and I think it's totally worth it for that. As far as the other shades go, they're really beautiful, you know, if you use them the right way. I think that neutral brown color is the easiest shadow out of all of them to use, and then you could just put some of them on your lid with a finger. But yes, there are better Hot Topic palettes out there, so really I would just say get this if you are really enjoying the whole book theme, and if you just want a really awesome highlighter, because I think that makes the value definitely worth it in my opinion. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you did, and of course don't forget to subscribe if you're not already. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.